Now, earlier today, President Donald Trump met with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte at the White House shortly after Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent announced new sanctions on Russia's biggest oil exporters. Ami, this is a significant move by the Trump administration, putting additional pressure on Russian President Vladimir Putin and trying to get him to negotiate a peace deal. He has been recalcitrant throughout.
Do you remember the days when they said that Donald Trump was Putin's cat's paw? Do you remember the days they said he was the pocket of Putin? I wonder if there was an apology issued for that, right?
Not quite. Not quite. No.
Look, he's handling this just right. Look, this is an almost intractable issue. This is not going to be solved, over the course of months, right? It's going to take a year or so, 2 years to solve, probably. But the fact that he is at a point where he's negotiating with both sides, this is far beyond where Biden ever was, right? He's the art of negotiation. Whether or not he actually is going to give them Tomahawk missiles, the fact that he's using that as leverage is the right move, because the Tomahawk missile, the Russians are frightened of it because it brings all their major cities within the strike zone of Kiev. And it's an incredibly effective weapon system.
But the NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte has praised President Trump's decision not to provide Ukraine with Tomahawk missiles. And he said that he's got the right approach to secure a peace deal.
Here we have a president who, from day one coming into office, wants to end this war in Ukraine. By the way, he has been extremely successful recently with Gaza, and he has ended other conflicts, including India, Pakistan, and Armenia, Azerbaijan. So he is really a peacemaker. He wants to end this war. This is close to his heart. He wants to end the killing. And I think what he did on Friday and Sunday, saying, hey, let's stop where you are. So stop where you are. And then you can still debate a lot of other things later. But stop the fighting is exactly the right approach.
He's got the praise of the NATO chief there, but Donald Trump did promise a swift end to this war. Is this his biggest foreign policy frustration at the moment? Is this the one that he needs to tick off?
This is the big one, for sure. I mean, look, Gaza-Israel was also a massive one.
Absolutely.
I mean, he has had a string of successes. I mean, you can't expect the guy to solve all the world's problems in less than a year.
Well, he's had 8 peace deals in his second term.
I think that's pretty solid. I think that's pretty solid. But look, I love the Secretary General, right? And again, where's the apology? Remember when the days when they were saying he hates NATO, he wants to destroy NATO? Remember those days? Well, guess what? The Secretary General loves this president. He realizes the successes of this president on the foreign policy sphere, and he realizes the amount of strength he has been giving to NATO. So, yeah, look, I think that the Democrats, while they should apologize to him, I don't think that's forthcoming anytime soon.
I don't think so at all. And it was so obvious what Trump was doing when he was putting pressure on NATO countries, when he was making threats about, we're not going to keep protecting you. He wanted them to pay their share and not just rely on America to carry all the load. It was obvious that in the end that was going to strengthen NATO, and yet all the media commentary, almost all of it, was painting this as an attack against NATO and trying to weaken NATO and be, again, Putin's puppet. It makes you lose faith in the mainstream media when people seem to be deliberately blind to a strategy that should be pretty obvious.
Oh, you're so sweet. It makes us lose. Yeah, I'm sorry. We've lost
that
faith
point.
a long time ago with the media. Please.
Now, let's talk about your hometown, your current hometown. I thought you were born and bred New Yorker, but no, California to NYC.
Loyal to the soil. Go Dodgers.
Well, the mayoral debates were on, and Zoran Mamdani, he's still a front runner to be the next mayor of New York, but former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo is trying to catch him.
He has said he'll take over New York if Mamdani wins, and he will, because he has no respect for him. He thinks he's a kid and he's going to knock him on his tuchus. So it is a balance, but you're going to have to be adversarial when you need to, but you want to cooperate to get good things done in this city, and you need federal help.
And after the debate, Cuomo was with current Mayor Eric Adams at Madison Square Garden. Interesting. Have these old foes turned into friends to try to defeat Mamdani? And what's it going to mean if Mamdani does prevail? it's going to be, I've got to say, it's going to be good for me, possibly not good for New Yorkers. But what do you think will be the practical outcomes if Mamdani becomes mayor?
Outside of renegotiating my rent with my landlord, putting that aside, look, we have a roadmap to what could happen with the city. It's called the 70s and the 80s, right? It does take a long time to get to that dystopian area, but it's certainly possible, and we're on that road without question. I'm not quite. Look, I think the polling came out recently about what would happen in terms of if Silwa dropped out of the race.
Yeah.
And it looks like it would actually almost be within the margin of error. Now, it would be very close, within 4 points. Now, I get 3 or 4 texts a day from the Silwa campaign, and I keep texting back. I'm sure it goes out the ether, drop out, drop out, drop out, drop out, okay? And the truth is that, and I know your producers always tell me there won't be math on the show, but I'm still have to do a little bit of math here. 4% is the margin of error, right? And that would be where they would be if Silwa drops out. 80% of the 9% who are undecided, so about 10% undecided, shocking that anybody is, are over 50. And 80% of people over 50 are going to break toward Cuomo. So if you do the numbers, it'll give Cuomo another 6%, which would give him the race. So I'm telling you now, I'm predicting it right here.
What do you think the participation rate's going to be like with this election? Because we've got Democrat on Democrat. I mean, it is a little bit depressing if you happen to be, I don't know, slightly sane and conservative in New York. It is a one-party system there.
Well, there's like 15 of us. So, yeah. So, I mean, one of my favorite statistics about New York City is that Manhattan voted in a number for Biden and for Clinton at a higher number than Putin won his election.
Geez, yeah. Okay, that says it all. That does say it all. How did the Jewish population feel? I know Mamdani famously has some Jewish supporters, but surely, given some of his commentary over the years and recent months, they must be terribly nervous.
Yeah, no, it's not a great time for Jews in New York. I mean, across the globe, obviously in general. But when we had the high holidays not that long ago, and Jews, you have to have armed security in front of every single synagogue in New York because the danger levels, the threat levels are so high. And in no small part, Mamdani is part of it. Mamdani just met and smiled and shook hands with an unindicted co-conspirator of the bombing of the World Trade Center in '93, smiling, grabbing his hand. This is what not just Jews, but New Yorkers in general have to deal with. He is an insane person, and the city will be insane to elect him. It is shocking to me, shocking he has this much support.
Well, you're in Melbourne today, and the front page of today's Herald Sun newspaper was a story about anti-Semitism, about the Carlton Football Club's mascot storming out of a young fan's bar mitzvah after learning that he was raising money for wounded Israeli soldiers. He allegedly yelled, "I'm not doing this for effing Zios," and walked out. A source told the Herald Sun the man will not be working for Carlton again. But it's just another example of how much this has become normalised to be anti-Israel, anti-Zionist, and the lines are very much blurred with anti-Semitism there.
Yeah, I didn't realize that he's so flush with money. He's got so many gigs, he can walk out of a gig and say no. I hope they didn't pay him, by the way, of course. But yeah, this is what we have to deal with on a daily basis around the world, and it's sick, it's disgusting, and I'm glad that we have friends who can help us with this.
Ami Horowitz, thank you so much for your time.
Always a pleasure.